Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Subscribing to My Podcast. Because I have a new guest on the show every week, it's very difficult to get consistent viewership. So if there's one thing that you can do to support me and the guest featured on my show is by interacting with the video. You can always unsubscribe later if you hate me or the content. Without further ado, here's your episode with Jennifer Holliday and Sydney Jones are both candidates for the student body president and vice president. We had Jennifer on last year while she was running for the position, which she actually got. And then Sydney I met as a Cyclone aide. And so this combining of worlds is super exciting for me. And I'm glad that I get to have both of them on. They're very famous for the sidewalk chalk that everyone has been reading for the last couple of weeks now. So I would love for you guys to introduce yourself and say some of the important things that maybe viewers know about you. Jennifer, I'll have you start.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Super happy to be back. It has been a crazy year since the last time I was on, so I'm super excited to get to chat about some of the fun things I've been up to. But just as a refresher, my name is Jennifer Holliday. I am a junior this year here at Iowa State, and I think my majors may have changed since the last time I was on the podcast. So right now, hopefully until I graduate, I am triple majoring in agriculture studies, journalism and mass communications, and international agriculture. Wow. Sounds crazy, I know. And I know it took me like 5 major changes to get there, but I'm finally happy with it. So, and there's enough overlap with classes that it helps out a lot too. Some other things that I think everyone, wow, I need to turn on my mouth. I need to be able to talk. Some other things that I think everyone should know about me. As Elijah just said, I'm currently serving as your president of the student body. It has been a super fun year, a lot of great accomplishments throughout this past year. Excited to touch on those some more. And I guess Sydney and I were both talking about a fun fact that we want to share with everyone about ourselves. So my fun fact is that I'm a first-generation student.
All right, and then Sydney, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yay, my turn. Okay, so my name is Sydney Jones. I'm a sophomore majoring in cybersecurity engineering. And what else? Oh, yeah, I'm from Donaldson, Iowa. A fun fact about me is that I wear bilateral hearing aids, and I'm currently serving as a UROC senator. And what that means is United Residents off campus. So that just means I live off campus.
Wow. And so you guys are, the collection of majors among you two is quite extensive because I know, Sydney, you're about to change your majors as well. So this is a really exciting, diverse bunch that we have here exploring all of campus's majors, which is really awesome and fun. But I talked to Jennifer last year, and I got to hear about some of the ideas, but I want to hear about your guys' new campaign as a whole and some of the platforms that you guys are going off of. Mm-hmm. And so I guess quick elevator pitch, what are you guys running on, and then what are the topics that you guys are most excited to do?
Yeah, so our motto that Sydney and I are running on is your voice, our mission, because that is truly what student government is. Student government is a body of students actively working to represent the entire student body based off of the needs, wants, and desires that they have voiced to us. So that is how we were able to develop this motto, your voice, our mission, because our platform of 12 points, 4 different categories, was not something that Sydney and I came up with on our own. We were actively meeting with other students to learn about the things that they need to succeed here, both academically and professionally and personally. So that is that collaboration aspect coming into play.
And then I'll just go over the 4 categories we have within our platform. It's creating community, helping health, increasing inclusivity, and securing sustainability. So we have 4 categories and then 12 points. So there's, 3 points under each category.
Can I see that paper?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll have questions about these. Okay. I think I've heard of most of these. I think what my main question is, I'd kind of used last episode as a time capsule for your campaign. Mm-hmm. And there were certain things that you said that you wanted to do and that you were really excited about. And I wanted to hear how that is going and if that's something you guys are going to continue doing this semester. And if you don't remember, they were it was the accessibility map was your big one. You said something about syllabi, like a syllabi collection. Mm-hmm. You said something about a new safe word for Welch Avenue that people can use similar to the angel shot. And then you said something else about course registration, knowing when seats opened up. And I wanted to hear how those things went and if that is still stuff that you guys are looking forward to. Or
Awesome. Yeah, that is actually so great. I love that you went back and looked at what I had said because I could have listed off a bunch of things, but those were probably not going to be the things that I remembered off the top of my head from last year's campaign. So the first one you just mentioned was the accessibility map. So the accessibility map is something that we haven't had to put a lot of work into because through meetings with admin and faculty here at the university, we discovered that there was one already in existence and it just needed some updating. So we have put a little bit of work into updating it. So right now we are adding things not necessarily directly tied to accessibility because a lot of those were up to date, but gender neutral bathrooms where menstrual equity products are available on campus, things like that, so students can get some more easy accessible information. The second one that you touched on was
The syllabi.
Syllabi
Collection.
Yeah.
Catalog.
There is syllabus bank.
There we
go. That is the phrase. Wow. I can tell you it's a Tuesday afternoon
Yeah.
and I think it's a Monday. So the syllabus bank is something that has not been able to be tackled yet this year, which is really sad, but Sydney and I were definitely still gung-ho on working to get things from last year that were on the platform accomplished this next year. A lot of these projects that were on the platform that I ran on last year for all cyclones or for each student were really big projects to tackle that were a lot harder to get done within a 1-year time span. So now that I have this year of experience underneath my belt, I understand more what is feasible to get accomplished within 1 year versus what's going to take some more time. So the syllabus bank is something that is going to take that more time, more meetings, things behind the scenes to get in the works. But I definitely still want to continue work on that. Next one, AIM Safe Word Program. So AIM Safe Word Program is something that is actually going to be released here probably within the next month is what I'm going to say.
Wow.
Yes.
This is the grand reveal.
Yes, exactly. I have started to tell people about it, and I literally am so excited because it's something that I'm so passionate about still. I was last year and will always be, because safety is a number one priority in my mind. I think students should feel safe at all times, whether they're on campus or not. So being able to partner with the city of Ames and bar owners on Welch Avenue, as well as bar owners all throughout Ames, has been an exciting experience. Our ex officio to the Ames City Council in student government this year, his name's Jeff. He's been doing a lot of the work on this project because a lot of these projects that we platform on end up getting delegated to our cabinet members because, you know, president and vice president actually don't have time to tackle these head on because we have so many other meetings and committees that we have to serve on. So yeah, that's how that works. That's something I can go into a little further detail on later because I know it's something that a lot of people are shocked to hear about. Like, oh, you weren't hands-on doing these projects that you're campaigning on. Unfortunately, no. As much as I would love to have all the time in the world to get to tackle these hands-on myself, a lot of this is not accomplishable without collaboration and delegation. But the Ames Safe Word Program will be coming out here before the end of the school year, so I'm excited about that. And then the last one was the course waitlist registration. So that is something that is going to be launched when we switch over to Workday here at the university this upcoming fall. So actually, all students should have received an email last week, I'm going to guess, and it was an email highlighting the course waitlist registration. So just as a recap of what that is, if you are wanting to register for a course, but all of the seats are filled in it already when your registration date comes around, you can still put your name down and it's going to put you on a waiting list. That waiting list will send an email to the first person on the list when a seat opens up, if a seat opens up, given that someone drops it or the professor adds more seats to the class. Then that student will have, I think it's 24 hours to register based off of the email that's sent to them until it goes to the next person on the waiting list. But that's something that we'll be launching here this upcoming fall. So super excited about that.
Well, I guess I'm glad I asked that then because I was nervous that you're going to be like, actually, all those things didn't happen and we like completely changed her. Not that I would expect that from you, but it's really nice to hear. It seems like it was a successful campaign. It seems like it was a successful term.
Thank you.
So now that you guys are going into the second one, you had your campaign last year and now we have this new addition to it, which is Sydney. What are the additions? Like, what are kind of the things that you're passionate about that you're looking to bring onto this platform?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest spark for me, okay, let's retry that. Okay. Yeah. I think the biggest spark for me was at our student government retreat that I went to. Was it this fall?
Yes, it was this past fall.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but this fall. And when I was talking with Brandon Kamstra, who is the former vice speaker of the Senate, we had a good conversation, and it kind of came down to talking about how the university should be a student-first university. Like, the reason we're really here is because of the students, for the students, and everything like that. So that kind of sparked me. That got me going, and that's kind of how I've just evolved. That's been my motto, is making Iowa State a student-first university, in all the ways possible that I can do that. So, on the platform, we have a point on there which is to increase opportunities for all students to participate in homecoming. And this is like one of my big passion points because I think homecoming should be a 7-day-long celebration. And so we're working with the athletic department as well as Alumni Association President Jeff Johnson to get things in place for next year's homecoming that we haven't seen in quite a few years. So that would be like the homecoming 5K back through Jack Trice Stadium, which I know some people are really excited about. And then a movie night, which we are still in works of what that may look like, but it would most likely be a movie night in Hilton Coliseum, which would be
really
super fun.
That would be really awesome. So
that's just making sure that like the facilities we have here, and we're using these in a way that really just puts students first. So that's something I'm really excited about.
Oh, that's really cool. So it seems as if like this is like the Cyclone Aid training coming out with like DIS, and then you have like the initial like student government perspective of like being on there for a while, and like this is like it's really cool to see like the two clashing, not clashing, but the two sides working together. I think one of the important things that's difficult for like a person to hear when they're not involved in government, they haven't heard a lot of these pitches. It's hard to know like what is this comparing to? Like what did it used to be? So when you say like a student first university, the question is like what else would it be? You know what I mean? And then how do you know that it's maybe not a student university or not as much of a student university as it should be?
And I think that comes down to kind of more of a grapevine effect. You hear a lot of times our athletics department is a money-making business. Well, that's really like, that's what you hear, but like, it's like, well, know that we have athletics and our student athletes, and we're using these facilities for these things, and like really showing students the facilities, what they're there for, how we can use them in ways that aren't just for athletics, and kind of really just showing them, like putting them first in these situations. And you can see it in different departments, and you hear it through the grapevine, through different departments, different sectors around campus. And so really just making sure that students know that they come first on the campus before anything, and really putting them there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that wasn't like a challenge to be like I don't believe in it, but it's hard when you're like out of this world so much, and then you hear like this advertisement, and you're saying things like creating community and like helping health. It's hard to like hear that and be like, oh yeah, that's like a huge solution to a problem that I have. Like the idea is that it's already there, and so. With like these four, like the four tenets that you guys have here, loosely, what are other candidates like running on? And then how do you guys differ from those other candidates? And this is, of course, not to like, poop on any candidates that are out right now, but just like give me a comparison of what else other people are talking about that maybe aren't as vocal as what you guys are doing.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the other slate that is running against us this year, their motto is say less, do more. And they are running on, I don't know their exact platform, but in general, they are wanting to add more restaurants to campus, potentially having a free concert for students. Do you know of any other platform points that would be touching on? They want to have a Know Your Leader series, which would be something of the sort of bringing Dr. Younger, President Winterstein, higher up admin in the university, and having a chance for students to get to talk to them in a capacity that will allow them to ask questions and get to know them a little bit better and their beliefs within the university.
And the mayor.
Oh, yes. They are looking at having a program where students can send messages to the mayor of Ames if they have an issue within the city of Ames.
That sounds very interesting. Sending like a text message to like the mayor would be really funny. Like parking's too expensive, dude. So, yeah, that'd be really funny. Okay, and so when I'm hearing like these campaign things and like the differences in campaigns, it's interesting because you know these ideas and you kind of know what they're doing. And so like in theory, is the other slate going to be in student government unrelated to like president and vice president? So are they still able to work on these ideas maybe if they don't win the election? Or is this something, because all those sound like good ideas. You know what I mean? It's just like the idea is like, what do we want to like put a ton of effort towards? Like what's more important is kind of what you're making the decision based on. And so is there a way that you guys can kind of integrate these ideas if you guys were to win, or like how does that work?
Oh, yeah. I think something that has been really prominent for Sydney and I this whole time is the idea of collaboration. So we want to make sure that students in student government feel welcome and able to work on the projects and initiatives that they believe should be a priority. And they are, no matter who wins this election, I think that all four of us are still going to be participating in student government in one capacity or another. So if you're a senator in student government, you can most definitely work on these projects still. Typically, executive slates run on a big platform like this because that is how students are going to get drawn attention, you know? Those are going to be their priorities for the year. Your platform is going to be your main focuses. So Sydney and I's four main focuses, because we split them into categories, are community, health, inclusivity, and sustainability. Those four things are very broad, so that's why we have those platform points within them to make it a little bit more specific. But we have the layout ready to be able to go into action. So whether it is Sydney and I working on it in the president, vice president positions, whether it is cabinet members, or whether it is senators sitting in the legislative branch on Wednesday nights, someone will be able to work on these projects in one capacity or another.
Okay, and that's really exciting. I wanted to talk about, so you have like these four tenets that are kind of like your building points, and you have these bullet points. And this is kind of getting into like your campaign, like your advertisement, but how do you convey the kind of more specific things while also reaching like your large message? Because you have like these four things, and then these four things seem like really important, but it's difficult to know like what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And then you read these bullet points, you're like, oh, these are the things that are going to happen. So how do you guys decide what to campaign and what to talk about when you guys are doing these?
I think when we go and give presentations over it, we have our slides up and they have all of our points on them. We normally just pick one from each category to talk about. We don't want to take up too much of like your club's time or whatever. But we normally choose one from each category to talk about, just to kind of give a little bit of a more detailed idea of this is one thing that we're going to work on within this category. And then from there you can read the others. And we're always open to questions like email, on Instagram, whatever. And we love to chat about the ideas that we have in place. But also our points are all on our Instagram. So you can always go there and check them out too.
Yeah, and kind of to add to that, when we were doing these presentations and we're only listing off one per category, we try to tailor it depending on the group that we're presenting to. So for example, when we presented to IRHA the other week, that's the Inter-Residence Hall Association for people who may not know, we tried to tailor it to things that would impact students in the residence hall the most. So we have a point on our platform about connecting with ISU dining to add dining opportunities on campus over fall, winter, and spring breaks. Because right now there are no dining options over breaks. Everything's closed. And students who don't have the opportunity to go home don't have food on campus. So they have to eat out for every meal, which is expensive. Because trust me, I go to habits where I try and do that a lot, and I shouldn't do that.
You have my vote just on that point. That's all I needed. You won me over.
Thank you.
It's actually so true. Because I work as an RA during break, and then I just have to buy my own food, and so all the money I get for working just gets spent towards food. So I'm super on board.
Thank you.
Super duper on board.
And then like a little side note of this point, this is also one of the steps we're taking to try and tackle food insecurity. 1 in 3 students at Iowa State are hungry, which is about 12,000 students here. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. And so this is one of the steps that we're doing to make sure that students have food over these breaks, as well as expanding on some other things that are already in place at Iowa State, such as Shop or Give a Swipe.
Mm-hmm. And so in regards to the advertising, I really want to know like how this works. So I literally just in my class today, in like this random classroom in Curtis, the projector went up accidentally, and I could just see like follow Holiday, like follow you guys on Instagram. So how does this work? Like, I want to know the ins and outs on how you guys physically wrote all the chalkboards, all of the chalk on the floor. Like, how did this even happen?
We are superhuman, and we can be 50,000 places at one time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Literally, like student government has a secret machine that like makes multiple of us.
I saw you guys sprinting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. No, actually, we have some really great supporters on our side. Some really great members of our campaign team, friends, people that are to the point that I consider them family, who believe in us so much that they're willing to take time out of their days, out of their weekends, to help get the word out more about what we're running on. And like, I value those people more than I can ever express to them, because just the fact that, it's a Sunday night. What are you wanting to do on a Sunday night? Not be on campus in classrooms that you have to be in during the week. But these great people are taking the time to support us to get to do that. So honestly, the Sunday that campaign season began, we had 10-ish or so people, and we split up campus and took different sides, had a bunch of chalk, had a bunch of whiteboard markers, and everyone just kind of went at it and tried to get the word out everywhere, in every classroom, on every whiteboard. Yeah.
Wow, and it's effective. I mean, like, it seems as if you guys are the only people campaigning right now. Is that true? Are there things going on with the other?
They are running around writing on whiteboards as well. I haven't seen as many areas with whiteboards saying their campaign slogan or their Instagram handle, but they definitely are writing things around as well.
Do you guys have any measurable like data on how this is going for you guys as far as like the campaign goes? Like, was it like once we started writing, we got this many people following us or like, endorsing? Is that something you could talk about? Or
I would say not really, but I definitely, and I was telling you about this earlier, we actually have we're doing a little podcast, which is actually inspired by you.
Let's go. That's so awesome.
We're actually doing a little podcast segment where we're going into depth about each one of our points on our platform. So students can understand what they're voting for, and why we're so passionate about those things. But I guess one of the data measurements that I've been seeing is like how many people view these podcasts. Mm-hmm. And it was crazy to me because like I didn't realize how many people we were actually reaching. But on our first podcast, we're over like 2,500 views on it, which is crazy. And I'm so happy because like the more people we can reach, the better, because we really just want to get our word out there and say like how passionate we are to help. So yeah.
And also on that note, going back to what she said about our podcast being inspired by you, I just want to say, I think this is really important to have on this podcast. We started working on this in November, and our first meeting together, brainstorming things, we were coming up with different advertisement campaign things, like how we can get the word out there. And quite literally within the top 10 things on our list, we need to talk to Elijah and get on this podcast.
That's literally what I told him too.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. I'm not even gonna lie. That's more flattering than you could ever imagine. Well, I think it's so cool to talk about this stuff. And I was telling Sydney about it. Like, that was such a bizarre colliding of two worlds when I saw Jennifer Holliday first on the sidewalk. I saw Holiday Jones on the sidewalk, and I was like, interesting. I was like, I know Holiday. I knew what you're doing. I thought the last name was whoever your person was last semester or last term, and I thought it was them. And then I look and I see the picture posted on one of the Cyclone stories of you on there, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like, you two combining is wild. How did you guys meet? I kind of heard a little bit of the story, but I mean, how are you guys affiliated?
So serving as president this year, I have the great opportunity to go to Senate every week, give some executive announcements, but also just watch the senators do their thing. And Sydney, although she joined Senate, when did you join? September?
September, yeah.
Yeah, so she's a newer senator. She stuck out to me so fast. She came into those meetings so prim and proper. She had things to talk about. She was prepared and active and showed her voice and utilized it well in those meetings. And I was like, that's it. That's the girl, So explaining the story of how I contacted her to run with me, it sounds a little weird, okay? But when you are like preparing to run for these things, it's like an underground society that nobody knows about. So quite literally, everyone's trying to keep quiet about it. You have to do things where very few people that could be running against you see you, because you're trying to, first of all, not get caught early campaigning, because like preparing isn't early campaigning, but sometimes it can get confusing on what is or isn't. So we have this information sheet with all of the people in student government's contact info on it. So I had to look up Sydney's phone number, first of all, because I had never texted her before.
Right.
We've had in-person conversations, literally never texted this girl before, okay? And I add it, and literally, I think my message was 3 sentences. It was, "Hey, Sydney, this is Jennifer Holliday. I have something I want to chat with you about. Are you free tonight?"
That's getting like
And that was it.
getting an emergency text from the president.
Yeah.
Being like, "Hello, Sydney. I would like to see you in my office."
And that's what I said next. I was like, "Okay, your office." And she was like, "Actually, we're going to meet at the hub." And I was like, "Okay, so I'm definitely getting fired or whatever."
Meeting, let's meet in a public place so you don't feel inclined to cry. That's really funny. Because I know I worked with Sydney on a committee in the summer, so I know that Sydney means business. And it's so awesome to see you guys work together and seeing this campaign like unfold. And so,
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to get back on this understanding of the kind of are there only two groups running?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
this year, yes.
I want to kind of understand that dynamic. When you guys are planning, how much of the planning is going towards like understanding what they are doing versus like doing your own thing and like working towards that? Like how is your guys' interaction with each other as far as advertisement or as far as like your campaigns go?
So a big thing that we are believers of is sticking to what we know best. And what we know best is our platform, our campaign measures, our tactics of what we can do best to get our word out there. So honestly, we are just trying our best to kind of focus on ourselves and stay out of the lane of the competitors, because this isn't a us against them race. It's whose platform, whose motives are going to be best for the students. And so we're just really trying to work our best to get everything out there about us that we can, because as much as people kind of affiliate student government with politics, we're actually an apolitical organization. Believe it or not, people don't believe that, but it is. So really, like, we're not politicians. We're not out here trying to campaign on politics. We're just trying to do what's best for the students. And we think what's best for the students is us focusing on ourselves and kind of keeping our word out there and driven on the same path forward.
And I think a little bit to add on to what Jennifer said about doing what's best for the students. When we were forming these 12 points and coming up with them, it wasn't what's best for like a group of students. We only chose points that would benefit every single student here at Iowa State. So we truly believe that every platform point that we have, it will truly make the lives of all students better.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I asked that question is because, one, I want to give you guys an opportunity to like say that these are good people that you guys are running against. You know, I think that's super important for people to understand, because it seems like it's like this big battle, but it truly is just like who represents the most amount of people, or like I guess the most amount of people who are likely to vote or whatever, but who represents the most amount of people and like what that campaign is. What I do wonder, or the thing that I would struggle with if I was running, would be like looking at their campaign and being like, I now need to cover ground that they aren't covering. Like, oh, if they're doing these things, like whoever said their campaign first, I can't just copy on I have to like do something different. And so I'd wonder, like, if you guys come up with these things that are all about students, and presumably they are coming up with things that are all about students, but you guys have different campaigns. What does that exactly mean?
So I'm going to like rewind a little bit, but campaign season started on February 3rd. And so that was the day at 8 a.m. on February 3rd, we could release stuff. So we haven't changed our platform since before then. So before we even knew like what they were running on or whatever, we had our set done and it has not changed.
Okay.
So we've been pretty like, we didn't see theirs and like be like, oh, that,
You didn't have spies out like, reading all their personal documents, being like, this is what they're going to do. That'd be really cool.
But those have been pretty set in stone. And I would like to say that we've had them for a long time, but I think we literally finished them on like February 2nd. We worked on these for a really, really long time.
It happens. It takes a while to figure out.
It does. Yeah. And honestly, the whole point that it took to take so long, because I'd mentioned earlier we had started in November, was we wanted to make sure that everything on our platform was feasible and also impactful for all students. And the feasibility part is the hardest thing because, you have these meetings with administration and faculty and they're like, I love it, let's do it. Or they're like, I hate it, never say that to me again. And no one has ever said that to me. I just want to put that out there. Right. But like, that's the motto. That's like the thing that I want to put out there is like, not everything that comes out on these student government platforms are always accomplishable. And that is why we wanted to have these meetings with the people beforehand, because we didn't want to put something out there with our name attached to it that we couldn't get done, because we just think that would not be true to ourselves. Or true to the drive of student government. And I have full faith that our other opponents did the same thing, and they're working just as hard as we are, because we all have the same drive in the end, and that's for what's best for the students.
And so with these meetings, when you guys are discovering, like, what are we going to do for our 12 points? You guys are meeting with, like, faculty and, like, okay, how did that go? Can you guys give more details on, like, how that went? Like, what did that look like? How did you guys' research happen?
So some of the meetings went amazing and we really didn't have to change a whole lot. And then others, they were like, okay, I like the idea. We like the motives, but we need to shift it into something new. So I think Sydney met with ISSO. Do you want to touch on that? Because I think that was a great meeting that you had.
Yeah, so one of the points on our platform is creating a dual mentorship program for international and domestic students. And we actually got this idea. Someone came to us with a concern about it. And so after doing research, there was actually previously, about 10 years ago, a similar mentorship program. It was just an international student mentorship program. And after meeting with ISSO, I went in asking, like, what could we do to revamp this? And they gave me some really great advice, and meeting with them was amazing. And they really just said, it's just not something that wasn't necessarily successful. So that's how we shifted the idea, and now we have a dual mentorship program, which is something I'm super, super excited about. And so what that would look like is we'd partner with ISSO and WLC, which is World Language and Cultures, and so that you would see a dual mentorship program between international and domestic students. And so what this could possibly look like is if we have an international student coming from France and we have a student studying French.
Yeah.
That great connection right there. Like, essentially it's just more of a connection group. Students getting to meet each other where they might not have otherwise met each other. So if you're not in the same clubs, if you're not in the same major, if you don't live in the same residence hall, you really don't run into people outside of that. And so this really just is a way for students to meet other students that they wouldn't necessarily meet. Yeah.
Well, that sounds really cool. And I was talking with Jennifer in the last episode about this idea of, like, campaigning coming up with an idea of what you're going to campaign for seems so difficult because you have to look outside of yourself.
Yes.
Like, I'm a very positive person. I can't really think of, like, things that I would do to campus just because I'm not looking for those things. But then if you task me to do it, I don't know if I'd come up with these things that I'm not, like, involved in. You know what I mean? So you're not an international student.
No.
You know what I mean? And so you don't necessarily have, like, a need for this program, yet you are the one going around and asking and, like, conveying these things, which I think is so awesome and admirable about a lot of these things on this platform. And that's what I like. And I think that's a really good basis to do things off of, because it'd be very easy to be like, only looking towards things that I want. You know what I mean? Like, I would really like to be able to have this kind of celebration at this time because it's like me, but looking out for all students, I think, is probably one of the most powerful aspects of your guys' campaign, I think. And I think it was last year as well. So I really like that about what you guys are doing. How do you guys, I don't know how you guys even do that. Like, what is the discovery of these, I don't want to call them problems, but, like, you have these solutions. How do you discover that there's even, like, an issue here?
I think conversation after conversation. I cannot tell you the amount of conversations we had discussing if there was a change here, what would it be? and what is a solution that you think would work? And these discussions truly led us to these. Because again, these aren't things for me or for Jennifer. These are things for every single student at Iowa State. And we truly came up with these from the students as well. Like, they came to us and then we put it into action. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was really great for a lot of our points. And some of the other points too is truly active listening. Like literally when you're out on campus in public spaces and you don't want to be spying in on conversations and whatnot, but sometimes it happens and you hear people complaining about their frustrations with a certain area of campus or certain programs on campus. And they're like, I don't know what to do about this. Like, I wish it just had more of a positive impact on me. And as president right now, my mind just instantly starts spinning. Okay, what can I do for that? Like, I'm not going to go talk to them because I don't want them to think I was spying on them. But what can I do to help them on my end and make their experience better? Like, literally, side note, but also totally related. Every Monday night, a group of friends and I have ice cream night. We go over to her house and she brings out a gallon of ice cream. Basically, it's like Hickory Park, but in a house. And we literally just, I know, right? It's amazing. And we just sit there for hours and talk to each other. And a lot of those nights, it's like ranting. We're like, oh my gosh, today was a Monday. Tell me about it. And sometimes I have had true conversations at this ice cream table because they're ranting about not getting to go to Thielen and get a certain screening that they need because Thielen is only able to offer a certain number of mental health screenings a semester. Because, when they went to go register, they were maxed out for the semester. And as soon as she mentioned that, my brain is like, okay, what can I do about this? Like, how can I revisit this and work with those in the health and wellness department to try and make sure that this isn't happening for more students? Because, the odds of me sitting with a group of 10, 15 friends out of the 30,000 plus at this university, and one of them is complaining about that, how many other students are having that same issue?
Yeah, I think it seems really dependent on like these connections that you have and these people and their reliance to talk on. Do you think people tell you about those things because they know that like deep down you'll be able to like potentially do something about it, or do you think that these problems are pretty common among people?
I think it's a mix of both. So I hate saying that there's certain problems that are common, but truly there is. Because, no one wants to say, oh yeah, like it's common that students are food insecure on campus. But it is. Like Sydney said, 1 in 3 students here at Iowa State are food insecure. And that's an issue. And so like the fact that it's common makes it a lot easier to talk to students about those issues or struggles or challenges and come up with ways to try and not solve it, because we're never going to be able to solve it, but help it to ease the struggle a bit more. But, also like I definitely do have a lot of connections on campus where they're like, hey, because you're the student body president, can you do this? And I'm like, okay, give me more details and I can say yes or no or maybe.
Yeah.
I get a few of those messages probably every week. But also like, that's why I'm here. I wouldn't change it for the world. Like I want the people I know to be reaching out to me and feel comfortable enough to reach out to people that are representing them. And even students that I don't know, I want them to be able to reach out to me too.
Wow. And I think one of the struggles is, do you guys ever feel that because of the position that you're in, there's a lot of negative energy that comes your way and that it's always like solving a problem or people are coming to you with problems? Do you feel that that's the case or?
I would say that's kind of for any person, you have a really bad day and it's hard. It's really hard to be like that positive, uppity vibe, but truly we like to turn things around and flip it on its head a little bit. So if we get if something comes to us in a negative manner, we kind of try and flip it on its head and more of, so what can we do now to impact you positively? What can we do now to make sure that you succeed? How can we change this to make sure you have the things that are in place to succeed? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and I think I wonder that because I don't know. There's a lot of stigmas around these political positions or like these positions of power. I know that when I'm in meetings or like our hall councils and all that stuff, it seems so very negative sometimes. And it's really easy to kind of get into this like problem solving meeting if everyone's talking to you. And I just kind of wondered if what you guys do to kind of stay positive or to kind of keep that afloat.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question because it is easy to look at things always in a negative light. But sometimes we have to like take a step back from the situation and be like, okay, we're people, but also like this position may be my life, but also it shouldn't be my whole life. And there's nights when genuinely like there are things that keep me up in this organization because I am just like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe this is happening. What can I do about it? But that has been something that I've had to majorly grow on, and I'm still working on a little bit, to like not let things like that keep me up at night because, you know, we can only do so much at one time. But also we need people to be communicating with us. And I think that's the issue. You know, I was a TA last semester for a class, and the teacher gave me an opportunity to present to the class, do whatever I want for half an hour. And I took that half an hour and talked about student government. And I tried to lead a workshop about how we facilitate change in student government, how we come up with initiatives for struggles that students are facing. And I tried to just get the 20 students in the class to come up with things that they would change on campus. And genuinely, like 10 of them, I would say about half of them could not come up with something that they would change, which is great. That means they're having a great experience at Iowa State. But also, I'm just like, I see how disconnected we all are from each other because, you know, the things that I would say first that I would change aren't something that would directly impact me because I know that I've had such a great experience here and I want to give that to everybody else, but not everybody else has had that same experience. Mm-hmm. I think that was a really roundabout way of answering your question.
No, I think it was good.
Thank you.
I think it's good. I feel like you guys talking about anything like that you're passionate about is always a good answer. I don't even care if it actually answers my question. Half the time I say something hoping that it'll just like provoke some response out of you guys. I don't even have like, you know, I'm not even listening to whatever the question is. But I kind of wanted to get back into a little bit more specifics because it feels like I know a bit about your campaign, but then as I'm talking, you guys will reveal like a specific plan or like a specific thing that's like, oh, that's really cool as well. So I guess like broadly, what other things are you guys excited about doing for your campaign that maybe we haven't talked about today?
I mean, I'm excited all the time about the campaign. Yeah. We have weekly meetings with our campaign team. We have our podcast. We touched on that a bit. We have our Instagram that we're trying to keep updated. We're doing campaign meetings with organizations and clubs and sororities and fraternities all across campus. Mm-hmm. I think, let's see here, today is February 13th. As of today, I'm going to say that we've done 12 to 15 presentations within the past 7 weekdays of campaign season since it had started. And like, I feel like we've reached such a great audience of students across this campus, but we're not done yet. Yep. We have so many more to go.
I was just about to ask, is there ever a point where you guys are just done or like?
We did 6 presentations last night and I was like, okay, ready? Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, let's do more.
Like, are you guys finding that it's still like really exciting as you guys do it like every time or is it ever? Yeah. Because I know last year when I talked to you, it had been kind of after the campaign was done. Mm-hmm. And you had said that it was really exciting and really awesome, but just like really grueling. You know, it's just like a long process. You guys are in the beginning of it, right? Is it more like the middle now?
We're in like week 2 of 4. So last year it was 5 weeks long. This year it's only 4 weeks long.
Okay.
Which I think is going to help a lot because week 5 last year we were just like, oh my gosh, I haven't slept in 4 weeks. Like my teachers think that I don't exist anymore because I haven't been going to class. Like I don't know what to do. But, you know, with only it being 4 weeks this year, I think that's going to help us out a lot. Keep that energy up and also like remembering our why because each time we talk to a new organization, we get new unique questions about our platform, about ourselves, about different things on campus that students are like, could you do something about this? I know it's not on your platform, but is it something that you could work on? And we're like, absolutely. Like last night we hit a lot of sororities, fraternities. We went to engineering council. Tonight we're hitting up Dairy Science and the Rodeo Club. We're trying to hit all unique audience members because everybody has a different experience at Iowa State. And each question that they ask or each comment that they say reveals something new about a student's experience here. And like, it's a learning process for them, but it's a learning process for us too, because without this outreach, without these connections, we couldn't do our jobs because we wouldn't know what students were going through.
Yeah.
Wow. And Sydney, this is your first time doing a campaign. How
Yeah.
are you feeling?
Great. I was like wondering, where do I go with this? I was like sitting here, I'm like, okay. It's great. I really do love it. I love getting to talk about the things that I'm truly passionate about, which is every point on there. I had a question the other day, and it was like, if you could pick a one point, what would it be and why? And I was like, I don't know. And I truly couldn't answer the question because in my mind, all 12 of those points are so equally important. There's not like one point that will come before the other. Every point on this platform will get accomplished. Every point on it is important. Every point matters so much to me. And so truly like looking at it every day, I'm like, this is great because I'm advocating for these 12 points. I'm advocating for the things that I truly believe in, that I truly believe will make every student's experience better. So I do get tired. I'm a very sleepy person in general, but I wake up every day and I'm excited to talk to more people about things that I'm really passionate about.
Have you put any thought as to what the most important point is, or is it truly all 12?
It's truly all 12.
Yes. I guess that's how you know you have a good platform.
Yeah.
if you can't come up with one. Do people recognize you guys on campus? Like,
I definitely get recognized sometimes. I definitely give presentations in classes, and some classes I do like student government related presentations because I'm like, okay, checking off a box, hitting two birds with one stone.
yeah, I might as well.
Yes, and then there's others where student government doesn't always fit into the criteria of what teachers are asking me to talk about, which maybe we should change that. Maybe we should be able to talk about student government all the time, but that's besides the point right now.
Yeah.
But I give a presentation.
That's point 13.
Yes, yeah. Teachers need to let me talk about student government all the time. But I would give a presentation, or a student would see me sitting at the hub drinking coffee, and they would be like, "Hey, are you Jennifer?" And I'm like, "How do you know my name?"
Yeah.
And then I realized that oh, they know my name because I'm a leader on this campus. I am a public figure. Students need to know who I am. So that's great. It took me a while to realize that it was good that people knew who I was, because at first I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. But now I'm just like, yeah, what's up? Sit down, let's chat, let's have coffee together. Please tell me more about it.
I don't know. That sounds so cool. And obviously it's a different kind of thing because people could also come up to me and be like, I hate your platform and I hate you. Obviously, and hopefully nobody's ever come up to you and had any negative things to say about your...
Knock on wood, that hasn't happened.
Yeah, so maybe the other side will send some people out to boost down the morale. But you guys are working hard. You guys are going to 100 different places and talking about these things. When you talk about the why, are you referring to these 12 points, or is there a broader why that you guys that motivates you guys to keep pushing through this?
I think when we start our slideshow, we each have an intro slide. And on that slide, we have, our fun fact and our passion point. And I think our passion point is what truly inspired us to do this. My passion point, like I said earlier, is making Iowa State a student-first university, which is, I'm passionate about that, which makes me truly passionate about the things that we're working on here.
Yeah, and kind of to add to that, my passion point when I'm giving, oh my gosh, my voice is cracking. Excuse me.
No, I feel like I ran out of water, so.
My passion point in the presentations is saying that I need and want to ensure that all students have the resources here that they need to succeed at Iowa State. And I guess that passion point kind of stems from maybe more of a selfish reason. But I told you all earlier, my fun fact is I'm a first-gen student. Being a first-gen student is hard. I changed my major 5 times because I didn't know what I wanted to study. I had to be told that it's okay to change my major 5 times. My mom did not understand that. She was just like, Jennifer, pick a major or else you're just not going to graduate. And I'm like, Mom, this is normal. I promise. But like, I needed the support to help me know that. I also just needed the support to be able to make that transition, to move away from home, which isn't only a first gen student issue. It's an every student issue. You know, it can be hard to move away from home for that first time, but finding a community of first gen students to really connect with helped me a lot. And there didn't used to be a like first gen specific program, but the Dean of Students office recently started one to help students in first generation families of education get the resources they need with more ease, and also make those connections being with other first gen students so you can kind of relate to the struggles or challenges that you are all facing. So I guess that's really where my why is stemming from, because like my passion here at Iowa State has changed so much. My path here has evolved so much because of the resources available. And of all of these resources that were or were not available when I started here my freshman year, that just didn't exist in general, I can tell you that like I wouldn't be sitting in this seat right now talking to you.
And I think it's so cool that you're going into kind of head these programs, or at least you're a figure that gets to decide or like influence these programs now. And you've experienced like, what do you need as a first generation students? And then you've experienced like, what's it like to be in a group that talks about these things?
Mm-hmm.
And now you get to make decisions based on these things, or hopefully make decisions based on these things. And I think that it's a really cool progression both you guys are doing. It's bizarre, like being a student and then looking back as to like where you were, and now you guys are like in charge of that, you know what I mean? Or potentially going to be in charge of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just such a bizarre place to be in your life when you're like, I started this as a freshman. I went to like Destination Iowa State, and that was like weird and bizarre. And now I like don't go to my classes, but now I'm like, my face is all over campus and my last name is written all over sidewalks everywhere. And everyone like knows that I'm campaigning for this. It's just probably a bizarre place to look at yourself and be like, I am not sleeping for like 4 weeks so that I can campaign for this thing. So, I mean, kudos to you guys. It's a really cool position for you guys to be in.
Thank you.
I wanted to kind of understand what the general public, or what you guys think the general public views your guys' campaign. What would you say is like your most common or like your most accurate criticism of either your guys' campaign or like your guys' platform?
Criticism.
Where do you guys think you guys could maybe put some work into or work on?
I think the biggest question that we have gotten is related to the dining point, and in relation to what will the financial side of that look like.
Yeah.
Which is a great question, because the last thing that we want to do is raise dining prices for students to be able to keep one dining hall or something on campus open for a few more weeks out of the school year. That is something that, you know, research is continually being done on. Meetings are still happening. We've talked with Karen Rodenkamp, and she's working with her dining team to talk about this point some more, because, like, you know, whether we're elected or not, it's still something that we want to pursue. And the feasibility on the financial side of it is, you know, something that comes first to mind, because I just said we don't want to raise dining prices. So how can we make sure that we can do that and afford it right now? Whether it be through some student government supplements, or if dining already has it in their budget to be able to do that, what would that look like? And I hate that I can't give a clear answer on that, but that's just because, you know, these are platform points, and the whole point of them now is that we don't have them done yet. So I can't answer everything about it all because we don't have them done yet, but I know that I am not going to have to raise dining prices to get this done, because that just adds more struggles to other points on our list. Like, we have points on here about affordability, about mental health, getting the diagnoses you need on campus, things like that. Those are all things that are impacted by food security and financial stability. And the last thing we want to do is have one of our platform points, while it be positive, negatively impact another one.
Yeah. And to add on to that, we're still like having conversations. So we've had a conversation about every point on our platform with either admin or faculty in some sort of capacity. So the dialogue is there. Like, these points didn't like appear out of thin air. They were very like meticulously picked with a lot of time, and we've had the conversations, and we're still having the conversations. You know, we know that it can be done, but how can we get it done now? And that's kind of the step like we're working on. Is what are the steps now that we need to take to ensure that this can get completed?
Yeah, and I think that's really important when you're doing these things, because sometimes people will get in this trap where they're like, it seems impossible, so I'm not even going to start the process. When if you would have started it, you might have discovered that it was much easier than you thought it would be.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a very responsible thing to say, like, hey, look, I don't have like all the answers right now, but I promise you we're going to have conversations and we're going to figure out whether we can do this or a reason why we can't or something like that. So, and then just to like clarify, if it did come out that like there's no possible way to have it open without a financial commitment, would you guys kind of like look for something else in the area of like feeding the people who are here on break? Or
Absolutely. I think in one way or another, the motives behind each of these platform points is something that we will try to find. We will find something to aid in. You know, our goal is to get these exact platform points accomplished, but if through more work, more research, more meetings, it comes out that how we have it written right now, we just can't, we're going to still find something to help with the point. So the whole point of us trying to have a dining hall open in one way, shape, or form over break is because we want students to have that affordable option for food over those times when they can't be home, but there's no options available right now. So if it has to change from ISU dining being open in one way or another to something else that I just don't even know what I would think of right now, then that's what it will be.
Okay. All right. And that's a good thing to accept too, so that I think it's difficult for people to understand, like separate you guys as people to what you guys are going to do. And so people might like see, like, here are the platforms, and if those things don't get done, they like blame you and say that like, well, you guys stink for not getting my things done. But there are so many more working parts, and even starting this seems so daunting to me. So I don't even know how I would start if I were to try to like meet with these people, and like I'm emailing random professors about like specific things for me, and that takes forever just to get like responses back. So I couldn't imagine like having a team that does that. With your guys' election cycle, do you guys also delegate like who your senators are, who your team is, and stuff like that? Like, how do you guys decide like who's working with you?
So senators are elected in the same like kind of capacity that we are. Although, rewind. Most of the time, not all seats are filled. So we do a lot of outreach there, trying to make sure all those seats are filled. But I guess I'll let Jennifer talk a little bit more on what cabinet positions look like.
Yeah, so like Sydney just mentioned, senators are elected, cabinet members are chosen. So once the new executive slate is announced, like who wins the positions, then a application form goes out to the whole student body, and students will have the opportunity to apply for one of the, I want to say there's like 15 cabinet members. I should probably know that number. There's a lot of cabinet members, all in different specialty areas, and any student has the ability to apply for any single one of those positions. And then the president gets to make the final decision, but I think a good partnership is the president and vice president working together to pick what cabinet they think is going to be most effective, well fit for working with them, but also most dedicated to getting the initiatives done that are on their platform.
Okay. So it is kind of like you guys get some decision as to like how these things get done, but if there are like cabinet members in the past that you worked with, they still continue to be that. Okay, so it's kind of like a mix of both. Okay, that makes sense. Because people obviously, even talking with you now, you guys said that a lot of these goals can't just be accomplished by like you two. You know what I mean? It takes like a team, and even with the campaign, you guys can't clone yourself and all write on the chart. So you guys have to split it up. But I guess I kind of wanted to wrap things up and kind of get a last message for you guys as far as like a campaign. And then what kind of plugging would you guys like to do? And then also, what are you guys' final message as far as your campaign goes for people who have listened for this and, entire hour listening to you guys, what you guys stand for? How do you guys wrap it up? And I like to give the floor to end the episode to you guys.
Wow, that is a
Yeah,
big question.
That is it. That's why I looked at you. I was like, you take it away first.
Our messages is just like looking at each other and making eye contact, and like whoever raises their eyebrows first is gonna take it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so first off, I want to say thank you to the students. This year has been incredible. I have absolutely been so honored and loved every moment. Whether it has been a struggle or a positive or an accomplishment or hearing, okay, yeah, that project's not going to work. I've loved every moment of it because I have been able to represent you all, work with you, and actively make improvements across campus and the city of Ames for your benefit. So I want to say thank you for that. And whether I'm elected again or not, I am still going to have that same passion and dedication. So I really just want to say, like, whether you decide to vote for us or not, I am still going to be here to serve you all. And I am truly excited and passionate about it.
And for a little bit of a final bit about our campaign, I just want to have the reminder out there that we're running on the platform of your voice, our mission. And, that truly is just what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. It's your voice, the student's voice. And we want to do things that truly impact and benefit the lives of all students here on campus. So that's something that we're both really, really passionate about and something that we will continue, not only in our everyday lives, but through our different areas of leadership and professional lives as well. So although I haven't been here that long, I've only been here since September. It's been such an honor to be a part of the organization, as well as feeling the support and love that I've had even since just the start of campaign season just 2 weeks ago is incredible. Feeling that love and support just keeps me going every single day. And so thank you for having us today, and thank you to everyone who's listened. Just a quick reminder, you can vote for us on March 5th and 6th. You can check your inboxes of your email, or there are going to be physical polling locations, but we would love to have your vote. And if anything on our platform, anyone would like to chat with us more on, you can follow our Instagram at Holliday and Jones, and either message us on Instagram or send us an email, and we would love to discuss anything further. Yeah.
Well, you guys are both awesome, and I loved hearing about what you guys are doing, and I'm really excited to catch up with you guys again when everything's said and done. But other than that, you guys are awesome.
Thank you, King.
Thank you.